Today we're going to be doing two things. One, we're going to be going through every single book that I brought to Tennessee. I could not bring all of my books, so I had to be very specific about which books I brought and why. Also, Sebastian got me a present. I'm very excited about this present because it is a book stamper. It is the cutest little stamp, and that way anyone who opens it is going to know that it's mine. I'm scared. I don't want to get like a finger pinched. That can't be it. Okay. There we go. This lovely looking device is called an ideal seal. It has the cutest little imprint, and let me just show you. I only had two books that were mine in my bedroom. All library books and borrowed books go in there just so I don't mix them up, but here we go. So this is one of my journals that I write all of my creative thoughts in. What I do is I just grab this little device and I'm going to put it over the bottom right corner of the first page, and then I'm so excited. I squeeze it. These are really thick and textured pages, so I wonder if this is gonna work. And it's like nice and textured. I'm going to stamp every single book that I own in Tennessee and talk about why I brought it. As for the second book on my bookshelf, this is a book that me and my husband are reading together called 12 Rules for Life. Should I stamp the first page or should I stamp the title page? I kind of want to stamp the title page because I feel like that's where all the cool looking stuff happens. So my library is in sections, so we're going to take it one section at a time. The first section is, oh, this is so heavy. The first section is the Mass Verse Part 1, mostly because they would not all fit in one section. I don't own all of them yet. I'm rereading them and I'm only buying them when I get to them in the reread. Now this is the part where I'm going to tell you that you need to read the Throne of Glass books and the Akatars and the Crescent Cities. The Throne of Glass books are the most underestimated of all the series, but you just need to read them, not just the Akatars. There is a very big deal book in the third series that is coming out in January. Everyone in the fandom, including the author herself, said that you need to have a good understanding of all of the books if you want to have a solid understanding of the new book when it comes out. I'm excited yet terrified because this book is huge, which means we're going to get a lot of good content. But that also means that I'm going to have to make room for a book about this thick on my bookshelf, and there's not room for that anywhere. Beautiful. And now on to the next shelf. Here I have the Massverse Part 2, which is the third series in the Massverse. And then I have the fourth wing, and I will also be getting the second book in November because I pre-ordered it. I don't think there is a single book out there that had my jaw more on the floor than the Crescent City books. I think it's just her ability to write the most insane plot twists. And then, of course, there's Fourth Wing, which speaks for itself. Do I think it's the #1 best book in the world? No. Do I think it was overhyped? Not necessarily. We need a break to sip on some tea. As for the next shelf, I have to remove some decals. This is my lovely kitten. She's from Egypt. Thank you, Mallory. I feel like I look like the Rock Johnson with a gold necklace and a black mock neck. And we have another very exciting shelf, and that is the Harry Potter shelf. I love these books. Honestly, these are the books that I actually read Harry Potter for the first time in, which is what I think makes them so sentimental to me. And because of that, I can't fathom getting another Harry Potter series. And these are falling apart. Like, every time I read them, I'm afraid that if I turn a page just like slightly too fast, that the page is just gonna come out of the book. Like, look at that, it's falling apart. Little 11-year-old Ruby opened this book and fell in love with this world for the first time. And I will cry if anything happens to them. Look at how elderly these are. I just can't get rid of them. Some of them are making cracking noises when I open them. It's just a sign of a well-loved book. A certain someone who knows exactly who they are in 5th grade ripped the cover off of this book, and my mother put some very thick packing tape over this book back in 2012, and this book is still holding up strong. I'm so terrified I'm gonna rip this book. Alright, and this is the last of the Harry Potters, and thank goodness too, because that was really stressing me out. Alright, then I have my little Hogwarts library. It has 3 mini books in it. Quidditch Through the Ages, Tales of Beedle the Bard, and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Look at the title page! That is so perfect. I kind of want to reread this because it's Halloween. Now I have my miscellaneous shelf, which is just right in the middle. And this is mostly just because I either don't have a lot of this specific genre or it didn't fit a certain color aesthetic. First off, we have my two French books, which is French Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and then I have French Half-Blood Prince. I just realized I probably should be checking the other sides of these pages as well to make sure that I'm not like deforming any words on the other side. Very heavy. Oh, that looks cool. Look at the flop on that book. That's stunning. And then my other non-English book, which is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in Polish, which, let me tell you, this book was not easy to find. I can't even imagine when I went to get the other books in the series. And then I have, I guess, like my contemporary books. I don't own many contemporary books, but I have Wonder, which I actually saw the movie first, which made me want to get the book because the movie just made me cry like a baby. And I was like, wow, if the movie could make me feel something, I can't even imagine how much the book's gonna make me feel. Wild that this is for a younger reading level and for like younger kids because this book just does something to your heart. Then I have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I got one or two Lynn Painter books from the library. I loved her stuff so much that I knew that I had to just start getting her books. So this is my first print Lynn Painter. And then Dial A for Aunties. Haley Pham totally convinced me to buy this, and I'm so glad that I did because this is just such a funny book. Now I have to organize them all back onto the shelf. And then we have a Polish Bible, but I'm not going to claim this because it's already been claimed. Do you know what I mean? Second to last bookshelf. The next bookshelf requires a complete relocation because it's like way over there. I'm really letting my tea go cold. Now this is my shelf of like Christian books. So I have like walkthroughs of the Old Testament and the New Testament for beginners, which I had to read these in high school and then I had to go on to read them in college too. So I know these books very well, but I still go back to them because they're helpful and full of a lot of like factual information that no one can memorize all at once. Then I've talked about these three books a lot. These are the World Religions and Cult books, and they were actually textbooks for a class at my university that I didn't get to take, and I really wanted to take it, but the class was always full or it just didn't work out with my schedule. So I just bought the textbooks and I'm reading them on my own time. Technically still just on volume 2, but I haven't actually sat down and read it for a while. All right, volume 2. Yes. This is like an arm workout or a hand workout, whatever muscles I'm using with this action. And you have to like really go for it and nail it the first time because if you try to redo it a second time, if you're like even slightly off, it just looks like jumble and it doesn't look right anymore. All right, so that's all those. All right, then I have Knowing God, Prepared to Thrive. Oh, well, that's Sebastian's book, so I'm not going to mark that. Then I have You Can Change, 5 Love Languages, which who doesn't know this book at this point? Humble Roots and Gospel Reset. It's honestly so cool to do this because first of all, if I ever let anyone borrow my books, they're going to see this and be like, oh yeah, that's who that is. Because I've definitely lended books to people before, like in high school, and then I never got my book back. There's even one situation that comes to mind right now and I'm still hurt about it. I was very kind and I waited months. And then I finally was like, hey, can I have that book back? And they were like, what book? I was like, girl, first and last name, baby. It's in there. Or better yet, if I ever like donate these books or my kids inherit these books or like my kids' kids inherit these books, my name is going to be in there right on the first page. And that's cool. That's what I call a legacy because you can tell a lot about a person based off what they like to read. Actually, why have I not read this book yet? I got this book like a year ago and I still haven't read it yet. I want to read this. All right, and we are on to the very last shelf, and it's a big one full of a lot of books. I think it has the most books in it. I'm happy to say a quarter of them are Sebastian's and not mine, so I will not be marking them, but I'll still show them to you because I think they're cool. So this is the last and final shelf. These are Sebastian's and they are Polish books. They're actually the Witcher books, which were written by a Polish author. But I will not be marking those today because those are not my books. As you can tell, the theme on that shelf is black, white, and red books, which I actually had a lot of them, and consequently they're all like fantasy. These are also Sebastian's books. I convinced him to read them and he loved them, but I've actually never read them myself. So until Sebastian finishes these and until I end up reading them and he says I can have them, I will not be marking these today. I left my tea on the other side. First off, we have The Night Circus, which is a classic. I will actually recommend The Night Circus this winter. So if you want to get a head start on your winter reads before I post my what to read this winter, then I would highly recommend that you start with The Night Circus. And I won't talk about it too much because you're just gonna have to watch that video in a couple weeks. Next is the Caraval trilogy. These books are phenomenal. I actually have done so many reading vlogs that include the Caraval books. I did my first ever annotating a book with Caraval. I read a very large chunk of Legendary in a 24-hour reading challenge. Then I started and finished Finale in the same exact 24-hour reading challenge. So the fact that I read half of this trilogy during a 24-hour reading challenge and I'm still recommending it is wild. Next is the Legend trilogy, and I think besides the Harry Potters, these might be some of the oldest books on my shelf. I fell in love with these books in middle school. I was just so inspired by the main character. I think I can honestly say that this book series was my introduction to the whole enemies to lovers trope. And I have been dying to reread these books, but I'm honestly terrified that I'm gonna let down my middle school self. But these are definitely summer books, so I'm gonna try to reread these in the summer and hopefully I love them just as much as I did then. Not to mention I have this little prequel which is literally so skinny. I think it's like 30 pages. Next I have the Dance of Thieves duology. If you're an OG and you were here for my first 24-hour reading challenge, you know that I have a bittersweet relationship with these books and I still have never read them. I have picked up these books and started and tried to read them so many times. And it's killing my best friend because she absolutely loves these books and really wants someone to talk to about them, but I just can't get myself to read them. I think I just stamped through 2 pages. Oops. Although I do have a very exciting plan to do a reading challenge soon, and I might try to tackle those books. I'm not sure yet. Then, of course, we have Coraline, and during this Vlogtober, I actually did a Coraline read with me, and I annotated the book just with pens and highlighters, but it was so unbelievably fun. And then I watched the movie for the first time too, so that was just like a whole adventure, and I did it all in one day, so that was a core memory. So that is every single book that is currently on my bookshelf in Tennessee right now. There are sadly some books in some boxes at my sister's and my mom's house that did not make it this far. One day I'm gonna have a big enough bookshelf to put all of my books on. But for now, all of these books are claimed and I could not be more happy about it. So thank you for claiming them with me, and I will see you tomorrow for another episode of Vlogtober.